Good afternoon. My name is J. Mike Condre. I'm the Operations Training Manager for Exelon Generation's Dresden Nuclear Power Plant in Morris, Illinois. Today I'm going to present to you a project proposal on how to address a recent change to our environmental training procedure, TQAA 133, that deals with the Spill Prevention Control and Countermeasure Plan's requirement for an annual briefing. I want to start by talking about what an SPCC plan is in the first place. A spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plan is required for all industries that have the potential to discharge oil material into navigable waterways. It's required by the federal government. Additionally, there are Illinois EPA requirements that the site must meet. The plan is designed to prevent discharges of oil or waste material similar to oil, for example grease, into navigable waterways. A navigable waterway would be any water body that has the potential to connect to a river and ultimately the oceans. The plan consists of processes, policies, and procedures that helps the site control the amount of oil that may be released into the public. Processes would include wastewater treatment facilities or sewage treatment facilities that allow us to collect and process potentially contaminated water on site without discharging the water to the navigable waterway. Policies could include methods on how to handle spills, and of course procedures provide technicians, operators, and chemists with guidance on how to sample, control, and use oil and grease while on site. This project proposal will meet three items. The project proposal will help us identify the responsibilities for who's required to provide and create the training material. This project proposal will also classify workers who need the training material, and at the end we'll lay out the training plan for the training material. In 2020, Exelon Nuclear revised TQAA 133. TQAA 133 is the governing procedure for environmental training. One of the revisions that was made was specific to the oil handler job description. This oil handler job description now requires an annual briefing. The corporate procedure, though, is vague on what's required for an annual briefing, as well as who's responsible to create the annual briefing. Additionally, the corporate procedure is vague in defining who is an oil handler. So the problem statement for this particular project proposal includes who is responsible for creating the training material, who is classified as an oil handler, and ultimately what's the best method to address this procedural gap and ensure that all required technicians and people who are classified as oil handlers receive the annual briefing. As of this presentation, Dresden Station is currently not in compliance with the TQAA 133 procedural guidance. This proposal is going to address the three issues independently. Who is responsible for creating the training material? TQAA 133 environmental training does provide some insight. They define an individual who will be considered an environmental expert as someone who has received additional training or who's knowledgeable on regulatory requirements to meet environmental needs. As such, the site leadership has determined that the environmental chemist will be responsible for technical aspects of designing and developing training material. However, the environmental chemist is not qualified as an instructor. They do not meet the requirements of TQAA 172, which is instructor training. Therefore, while the environmental chemist will be responsible for the technical aspects of the training department themselves will be responsible for material development and implementation. The procedure is also vague on defining who is an oil handler. TQAA 133 does not provide any insight. What they do provide is for anyone who is going to be classified as an oil handler, the minimum requirements needed to achieve that training requirement. As such, the site is determined to limit oil handler designation to the following three groups. Operations personnel, and they've been selected because they're the ones who have 24/7 eyes and ears on the operating equipment, as well as they're the ones who operate the wastewater treatment facility. Maintenance, which would include mechanical maintenance, electrical maintenance, and instrument maintenance, because they're the ones who would use oil and grease in their day-to-day activities while maintaining the plant. Chemistry personnel have been identified because they're responsible for sampling, which would include sampling of the outfalls where water could be discharged from the site to a navigable waterway. What is the best method for training? The site has determined that oil handler duties are collateral and shall not be attached to a qualification. They do not want to have an unqualified worker event. The site spill prevention, control, and countermeasure CBT module will be one and done training element. The annual briefing that will be provided by the environmental chemist will be given to training and created into an electronic read and sign document through the established LMS system. This supports research that states that LMS systems are best capable of managing and assigning training while saving companies money. The goal here is to make sure that only the people that need the training get the training, therefore saving the company money through storage criteria or number of unique codes needed to enter into the LMS system. What we know is that Dresden is currently not in compliance with the procedure. This proposed project plan will ensure that we do meet compliance and that ownership is maintained at the correct level. This project, when done correctly, will ensure that proper documentation is maintained such that training standards are met for upcoming accreditations. The next upcoming accreditations specific to operations will occur in 2023. I have cited the following works in this particular presentation. They include site-specific procedures that are excellent proprietary materials, some guidance on the requirements for a spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plan as stated by the United States EPA, and How an LMS Can Save Your Company Money in 2018 by Diane Williams, a blog post from topics.com.